All right, welcome to another episode of Ask Swenk. This is episode 34. We're going to talk about selling your agency, partner commissions, and proposals.
I'm Jason Swenk, and I'm answering your questions. And this is Ask Swenk.
I am excited to have you back. Before we jump into the episode, I want to tell you about a live workshop that I'm doing here in Atlanta next month. If you want to know more about it, where you can actually work with me, and we're going to talk about how you can reinvent your business development. So if you've been watching these episodes, listening to these episodes, and you've been getting any value from it, there's a lot of information I haven't even scratched the surface on that we're going to talk about in this workshop. If you want to learn more about this, I want you to go to jasonswank.com/live workshop. That's jasonswank.com/live workshop. All right, go there now and I'll send you all the details. All right, so let's jump into this week's first question. And the first question comes from Amy. I'm in negotiations to sell my marketing agency. What should I be aware of? Pitfalls to avoid. So Amy, when you're about to sell your agency, what you really need to think about is determine why is the other agency or business wanting to buy you? What's the reason? That's kind of the number one thing to really kind of understand. Are they buying us for our location? Are they buying us for our revenue, our client, our methodology, our process, our software? What is it? Now, they may not tell you right off the bat, and don't believe them right off the bat, but it's very important for us to figure that out because that's going to be your leverage in order to get the most for your agency. The other thing that you really want to do is whatever questions that they ask you, ask them back. You want to ask them the same questions back. So if they ask you, what's your financials and the P&L statement and, your pro forma, your projections, all that, ask them that. Because as they're evaluating you, if you're right for them, you have to figure out, well, we need those financials to make sure that you actually can afford us. All right, so when they first come to you, you're going to go through kind of preliminary questions. So you don't want to go and dive into, saying, here's all our clients that we have and here's everything and give them everything. You want to first kind of give them the overview and then make them go to a letter of intent. In the letter of intent, they're going to tell you how much they think your agency is worth, like the evaluation. And then once you do that, if it's acceptable, then you can proceed on. Because this process is going to take you a while and it's going to distract you from all the other things that you have going on. And a lot of times what happens is people start getting excited. And you should get excited because someone wants to buy something that you have and they get real excited and they take their eye off everything else. And then if the deal doesn't go through, they crash and burn or they go through a really, really bad period. Okay, so you want to make sure on that. And that's a huge pitfall going back to, one of the questions that you asked. So don't take your eye off it and treat it like it's never going to happen. Also, don't tell anybody about it. You don't want the word getting out that you're going to be selling because then, you're going to lose a lot of clients, right? The other thing to be aware of is, and this goes before you actually sell your marketing agency, make sure you have a clause in your contract that you can transfer any of your clients with just written notice, not getting their permission. Because a lot of times when marketing agencies or digital agencies get sold, it's an asset purchase if you're under a certain amount, okay? And most of you probably listening are under the 10 million mark. So most of the time you're going to get purchased by an asset purchase, meaning you're going to have to go to your major clients and have them sign something in order for them to buy. And you're going to have to do that before you get sold. So let's say you had a major client, they didn't want to sign it, that could kill the deal. So those are some of the things that I would tell you. Ask questions, or ask for whatever they ask you. The other thing too, if you're going to be, and you're going to stay on, make sure you walk their offices. Make sure people are actually happy, because if they're not happy and they look miserable, you're not going to mix. And as well as you're trying to look at their culture to see if those two cultures match up. If those cultures don't match up, don't do it. Oh, and then lastly, don't ever do an earnout. That's probably one of the most important things. I'm sorry I waited to the last minute, but this is live. So don't do an earnout. An earnout is some future projection of money that you have to hit in the future and will pay you X. So many agencies come to a smaller agency, they may not have money. They may give you $50,000 or $100,000 in cash and say, we're valuating your agency at $1 million. So in 2 years, if you hit this projections like you said you were going to, we'll pay you an extra $1 million. So you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to be a millionaire in 2 years and I don't have the responsibility and all that. You're never going to hit it unless it's a guarantee. So don't do it. All right. So next question. Scott asked, what are your thoughts on paid referrals or partnerships between agencies? For example, your agency refers me work, I pay you an X percentage on commission. It's interesting. You can do it a couple different ways. It matters on how big your projects are or your retainers are, right? So if you're selling $100,000 projects, you probably don't want to pay the 10 to 20% commission that you would if you were selling a $5,000 project, right? That would be huge. So, and it's also too, some partners or referring partners don't expect that. For a really good strategic partnership to work, it should be both ways, right? So if I refer you work, you should be referring me work. Or if I refer you work, it's because I'm, kind of upcharging or stuff like that, right? So it needs to be both ways. So have a sliding scale for your commission. So maybe if you're under 10,000, maybe 10% is good. And then if you go over 10,000, maybe to 50,000, maybe 12%, right? Or 8%. And then over 100,000, maybe it's like 2% or 3%. So just run the numbers on a spreadsheet first or in your head, and you'll figure out what works for you. Last question. Stuart asks, we are walking our clients through the proposal in person as per your advice. Rock on. However, we still find that once we've done this, the client then goes quiet on us, which is never a good sign. No, it's not. How do we persistently, if I could say that word, yet politely follow up to expedite this last stage of sales and find out if we are the preferred supplier? Yeah, it's really a bad sign when they go silent, but it probably goes back to the first conversation that you have on qualifying them, right? And asking the right questions. You first got to make sure that you're a perfect match with the need, right? If you remember NBAT, right? Need, what's their need? Make sure it matches up perfectly with your core service. The other thing is budget. Do they actually have the budget and the expectations in order to pay for your services? Great, check mark, cool. The next, a lot of people mess up, is the authority, right? A is for the authority. And saying, all right, can this person actually make a decision, even though they told me they could? So you have to ask questions above what they're asking for you. So if they come to you for a website, you can say, cool, how does this website align with your overall company objectives? And most of the time, they're going to say, well, Bob knows that. Well, who's Bob? He's the CEO. Cool, let's get him in. So you immediately prove that he or she is not the authority, and you need to talk to Bob, okay? The other thing is timing. Make sure that they have realistic timing. Now, after you get the NBAT, you really want to make sure you go through the 3 I's. And this will help you with your follow-up strategy, making sure that they go silent, right? So you're figuring out what's the biggest issue of where they want to go. That's the first I. The next one is the most important, which, what's the impact this is costing you? Okay, so this is starting to plant the seed of why, or like the importance of why they need to do it and the impact and the results and all that kind of stuff. Because now you have a killer follow-up strategy. So now you're not calling them saying, I'm just checking in. Hey, did you solve that $1 million problem? And the cool thing too is they are coming up with the impact. So now, and they might not have thought about that. And let's say they say, well, I don't know what the impact is. Use this. If you had to guess, this also works on your kids, by the way. So if they burn something down, if you had to guess who did it, oh, it was my little brother. Okay, cool. Now I know who to go spank, right? I don't spank my kids, but maybe you do. So it's about asking the right questions. And then it's also about not sending the proposal to them. Review it with them and set up a meeting. And this might, Stuart, you might be following all these other things, but Stuart, you may be missing out on this one thing. And the one thing is setting up a meeting while you're in the meeting. Okay? So now they're not going silent. So try that. All right. So if you like this episode, I want you to comment below, comment wherever you're at. Make sure you subscribe. If you're not subscribed, you're not going to get all the good content that we're doing. The other cool thing that we're doing is we're always creating this into macro content and splitting it up. And you don't want to miss out on that either. So whatever platforms you are on, we are on. Okay? So go subscribe now. And if you have questions, I want you to comment below. And maybe we'll feature you on the next Ask Swenk, if I can say that, right? And don't forget about the live workshop I'm doing next month. It is going to be an epic event. I'm going to share with you some totally new stuff that's working for our clients, some things that I've never shared before. And it's just going to be an amazing event. So if you want to know more, go to jasonswenk.com/live workshop.